Hello there folks, and welcome to this week's Facing the Issues, which is the fifth and final of this particular series. It's entitled Same Sex, Different Love, and as it happens, it's around the weekend of the 14th of February, Sunday the 14th of February, which of course is Valentine's Day. This topic of all topics is one that requires, I think, a considerable amount of sensitivity. It's a very difficult topic to talk about. We're going to be thinking about human sexuality and issues of gender this week. And it's not an issue which can be easily dismissed, certainly not in a 10-minute vlog. So I really would recommend this week that you go digging deeper, which you'll find there on the website. There's a whole host of information there for you, both about issues of gender, issues of sexuality, some different views from the church in this area, and also there's an opportunity for you, should you wish to delve into it. It's quite long, it's 400 odd pages, but the recent church report called Living in Love and Faith, which we have been tasked by the National Church, both as a diocese and deaneries and parishes, to discuss through 2021, ready for a consideration of the General Synod of the Church next year in 2022. Talking about the Church's position particularly upon marriage, but also upon our understanding of gender. This debate came about because you'll know, I'm sure, in 2014, the then government passed the Marriage Same-Sex Act, which enabled gay couples for the first time to be married, and it took a step forward from civil partnerships into marriage, and that's caused our understanding of marriage and the meaning of the word marriage obviously has been greatly debated and continues to be debated within the church. What the Act said was that faith communities, because this isn't just an issue for Christian communities and denominations within Christianity, but for wider faith communities, that faith communities that wished to celebrate the marriage of gay couples had to opt into the legislation. And at the moment, the Church of England hasn't opted into that legislation, so it would not be legal for me to conduct a ceremony for a gay couple at St Michael's. The Church has to change its view nationally for the legislation to be changed to enable that to happen, and that really is the basis of the debate this year. So we're going to think just very briefly in two areas. The first one in terms of sexuality, particularly, if you like, homosexuality and lesbianism, and something of the traditional teachings of the Church in that area, and references there to the biblical understanding of that, and then a little bit about our understanding of gender and how that is changing so very rapidly. The Bible, you can, in digging deeper, you'll see that the references there to the Bible, in the Bible, about particularly about same-sex relationships, and the understanding about that. And what I've tried to point out is where there's a scholarly consensus about particular chapters and particular understandings, that scholarly consensus is noted. You need to look at digging deeper for that. One area that you could read, for example, one of the stories that you could read if you wanted to, is Genesis chapter 19, verses 1 to 14. Which is the story of the men of Sodom who come and wish to know, in other words, have sexual relationships with some angels who are there in Sodom and Gomorrah. That story is where we have our language from. Up until the 20th century, homosexuals were known as sodomites. The language has changed around that, and language is so important in this area, and I want to be very careful in my use of language today, not to cause offence, because that's the last thing that I would want to do. But have a look at that story, Genesis 19, have a look at just the very short piece that goes with it to explain it and to put it into context. You know me, in context. And other things there as well. But there's references in Leviticus, in Deuteronomy, and in Paul's writings in this area. And some would say very clear, that's how a reading of it would appear to be. And yet, through the filter of modern life and through our understanding of human nature, attitudes are changing. Our understanding of what motivates people in terms of their sexuality, what drives human sexuality, is changing all the time. And that also then brings us on, obviously, to issues of gender and our understanding of gender and the transformation of gender. That it's not just a binary male-female these days, but that we have people who are transgender, who perhaps feel that they have been that they've been born into a male body, but that they wish to express themselves in a female way, and that therefore their bodies are changed. Way back into the year 2000. One of my colleagues in my chapter in Swindon was the Reverend Peter Stone, and he was the first of the priests in the Church of England to go through that process of transition, and he became the Reverend Carol Stone, and continued to serve in his parish in St Philip's in Stratton for 14 years until very sadly Peter died of pancreatic cancer. And I'm not going to pretend it wasn't a challenge, because it was. That the Peter we knew became the Carol that we knew, and that was a challenge, and it was a challenge for his congregation. But they loved Carol, and she continued to minister with great integrity through the remaining years of her life until her tragic death at age just 60. And the bishop at the time, Bishop Barry Rogerson, Barry had been the chairman of chair of the movement for the ordination of women. I'd been privileged to be there in Bristol Cathedral when the first women priests were ordained. And Barry was wonderful and very, very supportive of Carol's transition. And our understanding of gender is changing so much. We talk now of gender fluidity of those who feel they're neither male or female, but their gender is fluid. And I know this is challenging for so many of you, and I know it's challenging for older folks. My daughter's just not an issue. Gay friends, not an issue. Gay marriage, not an issue. And so I think it is a generational thing. And I think that as we go through and we look back, we'll see that the church's understanding and our understanding of these issues have changed. The one thing that I think that we need to do is to listen to each other at that deep level of others' experiences that are different to our own, and to listen in love, and to see in other people that in all there is the divine spark of God's creation, and that how we express that humanity can be very different in very different ways, and we need to be loving and supporting each other. I know that it's a controversial issue. I know that there are people already saying, well, if we don't get our way, we're off. They said that about the issue of women priests. I know that that's been said in the top echelons of our own diocese. And I think in an act of unbelievable arrogance. That we as a church were excommunicated because of our views when we became an inclusive church and said, this is where we stand. So I know it's very divisive, and it's such a difficult area. It's such a sensitive area, but we need to be thinking about this. We need to be addressing it, and we need to be engaging in it. Dig deeper, please, in a way that I can't possibly do in just a short vlog, but really engaged with this issue. It's really, really important for us and for our church. God bless you. Stay safe. In this rather colder weather, stay warm, and I shall hope to see you soon.